And let's talk about RuPaul, who's getting dragged on social media. Well, she got some people that agree with her and some people that disagree. But for the most part, RuPaul is a little tone deaf when it comes to giving their, commentary on advice on how to stand up against fascism. So Mama Ru was on social media. I think it was on his Instagram, also was on Twitter. I do have that clip. I want y'all to hear what Miss Thing had to say, and then we'll get into the thing. But hold on. But first, it said RuPaul divided fans after posting an Instagram video about the political climate in America, in which he said that fascism is back and suggested the only thing we can do is to party and dance. So, is this like you letting us know you coming out with a new dance album? Because that's all you make. I always find it funny when it comes to the roast, they always talk about his song and the auto tune. But anyway, let's get into the clip. We'll come back and talk. Please hold.
There is no easy fix. We are talking 45 years of undereducation in this country when they started defunding educational programs in schools and everything. So when you talk about rational thinking or critical thinking, who would you be talking to? Because most of the population don't know how to do that. They weren't taught how to do that. They believe in superstition and fairy tales. So the bad guys win. They won. Fascism is back. Yay! I mean, at this point, the only thing we can do, our only comeuppance, is to party and dance and have fun and laugh and let's play games, because they got what they wanted, man. They got it. Well, they got it. So I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be having some fun. Join me.
Well, good for you, niece. I mean, look, two things can be true at the same time. You can be out there and party and have a good time and all that other stuff, but I also believe that you can take that time and inform yourself on what's going on in the world. Why can't you do that? Because just to sit up and like, oh yeah, they won. So just give up. Throw your head in the sand. Accept defeat. No, that's what they want you to do while they gut health care, while many people, especially because of the whole DEI situation, many Black women have lost their federal jobs because of the whole how they've weaponized DEI and made sure to fire all the Black people, but give all of Trump's cronies and all these incompetent ass people who don't know what the fuck they're doing all the jobs that they shouldn't even be, that they have no experience in doing. And then we have groceries is going up, oil is going up. They're building data centers all over the place. I'm hearing they're trying to build data centers out in New Jersey now. And it's affecting, of course, the water supply. The energy is all getting messed up. Like there's so many things that's happening in this world all at once right now. And we're all just fighting amongst each other when we need to be fighting the real enemy, and that's the 1%. If you just sit up here, you know what? Let's just give up and dance and let's get like Britney Spears and put on some fucking bloomers and twirl around in our fucking house on Instagram. Let's all do that. Let's just give up. So you like staying up in your, because I heard like what RuPaul's probably worth over $60 million. So it's not going to affect you. And this, of course, would be the advice that you would give, because at the end of the day, your boss is David Ellison, who owns Paramount. So you don't want to tell people to get out there and fight and go against the establishment when he is the problem. He's friends with Trump, going against them, and that's probably going to affect the future of Drag Race. So I feel like you say all of that is you worrying about your bottom line being affected. So this pissed me off, of course, as you can tell from my tone. um, but hold on, let me close this so that way, because I know there's child, they went in on Miss Thing in the comments. So, let's get into it. So they said the post, of course, prompted thousands of comments with reactions ranging from praise and for queer joy as a resistance to criticism that RuPaul should be doing more given his wealth and influence. Now, one supportive comment read, "Queer joy has always been an act of resistance. Protect that joy as if your life depends on it, because it does." A critical comment said, "I get what you're trying to say, but as a multimillionaire, there are a lot more you could do to fight fascism." And remember, once upon a time, before you was a multimillionaire, you were someone who was an activist. You got into the whole fighting against the establishment and getting into queer rights and all that other stuff. You were doing all those things. But I guess now, because you're a part of the 1%, now your tune has changed. So now posts and reposts of the video circulated widely on Twitter with users arguing over whether party and dance, at least he didn't say party and play, was a call to stay visible and joyful or a complacent response to a serious threat, saying, "We will join you. Invite us to your house, mother. We can dance together under the disco ball." Yeah, she ain't inviting you in her house. RuPaul for president 2020. No, we good. Y'all need to do better than some damn RuPaul, and you also need to do better than some damn Gavin Newsom. Now, other people pointed out the history of queer people partying in the face of oppression and the power of queer joy, saying queer joy has always been an act of resistance. Protect that joy as if your life depends on it, because it does. Now, others push back, arguing that joy cannot be the only response. One person by the name of Call Me Fag said, "I get what you're trying to say, but as a multimillionaire, there's a lot more you can do to fight fascism." Another person responded to Call Me Fag by saying he literally started a company that sells banned books during the fascist era we're all living in, while being an LGBT icon, bringing joy and hope to the community for decades. There are also some problematic books. People have said that book club is selling. So there's been a little issue with that whole book club that you over here praising. So then someone said to Call Me Fag, I think they're Jorge Adventures, said, as an open gay black man, by him just breathing and giving space for all queers, especially queers of color, he's doing a lot more than most. Okay, just existing is not enough. Just showing your face is not enough. And that's what it seems like y'all trying to say. Oh, well, just him showing his face, that's not enough though. You got a mouth that goes with that appearance as well. Use it wisely. Now, Chimera said, fascism has won, and all we can do is party and have fun. If you were wondering why the politics of Drag Race always felt so vapid, the host is a rich liberal who'd have you go down without a fight in the face of fascism. Queer people deserve better idols than this. So that's one person that wasn't feeling it. Another person, Good Night Big One, said, I don't know, I don't even know where to start, and did a sad face emoji. Confirm Your Name said, saying fascism won, and then saying what we should which we should do against it is to party, dance, and play games. You can tell he is not from our generation. And Slang Wayne said, love Rue, but isn't going out and dancing and being fabulous exactly what they did in Weimar, Germany? How did that turn out? Well, I don't know about the history of Germany. I'd have to look into that. But and then kudos for Sharon said this: the woke children don't understand that joy is part of. Okay, suck my ass with the whole woke children bullshit. Now there were some other people famous in the drag world who spoke out and pushed back against what Rue was saying. One of them being Luscious Massacre, who allegedly charges $10,000 for appearances. Well, girl, you were five. She said Luscious Massacre also weighed in, agreeing that protecting joy matters, but urging people to take further action, saying, yes, we must party and dance and never allow them to take away our joy, but that's not all we must do. We must also fight, not with violence, but we must push back at every turn, and we have to learn to defend ourselves. We must protect ourselves. No one is coming to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves. And that's been the overall situation. I think that is the point that we've all been talking about. You can't depend on the government and everybody to save you. We're the ones who have always had to rise up against the 1%, the establishment, in order to provoke change. And then the politicians who want their little moment and their jobs or whatever the case is, and they slither their way in and want to be like, yeah, I want to fight with the people. But it's always the people that have always risen up at the end of the day. And you would think that, you know, Pee Wee Herman and Quentin Crisp hat would have known better in saying and spewing this bullshit for y'all. Now, the one that really went in is Lady Bunny. And this is a long one, so bear with me. So this is what Lady Bunny said on her Facebook page. She said, the Empress of Emptiness strikes again. Rue declares that fascism has won, and his answer, our only comeuppance is to party and dance, it says, not to organize, not which principles to organize around, and not who to vote for to ward off fascism. This is Met Gala attendee level of clueless, a rich virtue signaling liberal doing what they do best, saying something which sounds good, but which accomplishes zero. Rue and I started our club careers together as AIDS was also getting its start. So Rue knows what activism is. It's ACT UP organizing a die-in outside St. Patrick's because a bishop lied to say that condoms don't protect you from HIV transmission. It's organizers trying to get AIDS meds approved while their community is dying. The idea that you'd fight fascism with dancing is a slap in activists' faces. While queer joy is important, it has no clear goals. Joy can refuel you for the fight, but what fight? You'd never know Rue. You never know from Rue, probably because concrete solutions would alienate some of his fans. I've been that bitch. Guess I love the drama. Fishy, feminine, up and comer from the Clintons to Obama's Call Me Mother. Yeah, he used the lyrics from Call Me Mother up in there. Rue complains about the death of critical thinking, yet he isn't able to connect do nothing centrist Dems helping usher in fascism. Rue lyrically boosts the Clintons and Obama, who honest, informed people denounce as sellout war criminals. Nor is Rue able to call out pre-Trump aspects of fascism. The pattern of feckless liberals getting fascists elected is well established in history. It was a factor in the rise of Hitler. Now, did you know that one symptom of fascism is government uniting with corporations? Harris used Drag Race setup as a campaign stop, and her only ideology is serving corporate donors. Another symptom of it: corrupt politicians enriching themselves. Nancy Pelosi, a former judge on well, she was on there twice. Let's say another symptom: disdain for human rights, which all Dem leaders showed by funding Israel's attack on Gaza and beyond. Not to mention that Paramount Plus is, I said this, um, is owned by billionaire Zio, Larry Ellison, a friend of slash donor to far right fascist Netanyahu, also a big Trump donor, whose goal is to give Israel and right wing values favorable coverage on TV. Now, Ellison's pushing for a merger with Warner Brothers, which could give him CNN and HBO along with CBS, Paramount, and more, which he already owns. So Drag Race partners with fascists while Rue complains about them. Practice what you preach, Mary. And that was a lot. I told it was going to be a lot. So Miss Thing went in. But and I had to write like a long little thing about how I felt about Rue. So I'm gonna just read y'all what I wrote. Read you wrote too. This is like in my article that I wrote this. So I wrote, I have been a fan of Rue ever since I saw him on shows like Geraldo and Ricky Lake back in the day. I've always admired a statuesque drag queen who is able to push his way into the mainstream at a time in the 90s when it wasn't acceptable to be an openly queer person of color. I even love how a strong queen, how as a drag queen, he was able to create an empire that helped make drag a global phenomenon. So hearing RuPaul say some capitalistic bullshit like this when people should be fighting against the establishment now more than ever is why I no longer have any respect for him. This lazy let him eat cake answer to dealing with fascism ain't it. Giving up and accepting defeat is not an answer. It might be for centrist Dems who could give a shit about whether they win or lose as long as they get to keep their positions, especially when you were an activist before Supermodel catapulted you to the mainstream. I guess this would be your solution when you've got Larry and David Ellison as your boss over at Paramount. And if you really tell your viewers to fight the real enemy, which would be Trump regime and tech oligarchs, that would affect the future of Drag Race and your wallet. What Mama Rue needs to do is figure out why the last few seasons of Drag Race have been an absolute chop, why Paramount has been cutting the budget on them Drag Race red carpet premieres, and speak less on politics if all you're going to do is provide is a bunch of hot air. So that's my overall thoughts on this matter. Excuse me. It said that this is like, a bunch of do nothing, whatever. And everyone, well, it was all about dancing and things, and people did that back in the day. Maybe in like the Disney 5 version of your activism that you think was going down, there wasn't just dancing and showing visibility. Queer people were out there in the streets fighting during the time of the AIDS Holocaust and all that other stuff that was going on. They were out there in the streets putting their lives on the line so that way queer people can live comfortably as they are today. Now we're seeing the clock is being rewound back, and we're still having to deal with some of the stuff that we thought that our queer ancestors fought so hard and for us to not have to go through in the 70s and 80s and beyond. So it's unfortunate this is the stance that Rue took, but why is anybody surprised? So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding Rue's tone deaf advice about partying and dancing in the time of fascism and how all of our rights are slowly being taken away? But this, yeah, this is your solution. I guess your other solution will go see that horrible ass looking movie, Stop That Train, which I think is going to flop. And I'm not saying that just because of this situation. I've always kind of felt like seeing the trailers and everything. I'm like, nah, this shit should have went straight to Paramount Plus. But let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.